Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Your host of Raven here, bringing you some more Illusion of Gaia action. This is part 24 of the series. We're in Mount Crest. In the last video, we kind of finished up that Euro village, and we kind of just breached the surface of Mount Crest. We kind of just like cleared out the first two rooms. But anyway, so today what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit deeper. We're going to clear out more enemies, which Mount Crest is why I took a break from this for so long. It's one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite action RPGs of all time. But there's parts of every game that aren't perfect, that can, you know, get on your nerves a little bit. And Mount Crest, it's not so much that the enemies are difficult. It's just the fact that the way it's designed like a maze, you know, things look the same, and once you clear enemies, you get lost, and there's, you know, so many convoluted routes to take to get to certain goals, like get to a treasure chest or get to a dark space where you can transform. And it's also one of those dungeons where you have to switch back and forth between Will and the Dark Knight, you know, multiple times. And that, you know, it can, and just, you know, having to backtrack, getting lost, stuff like that, it can wear on your nerves. So I played for a while. I think it's been a couple months since I last done a video on this series. So, but anyway, we're back into it, and we're kicking ass with Freedan. When I was a kid, I had this on Super Nintendo, and the power you see that I'm using now when I glow red, is it the Psycho Crusher, or I forgot what the name of the power is, but it seemed to me as a kid you could cause it to split at will. Like, you could shoot it, and then you could press the button again, and whenever you press the button, it would split into four, and, you know, do its circle move, and, you know, hit all the guys or whatever. But playing on the emulator, bringing this to y'all, it seems like you can't do it at will. You can still cause it to split by once it connects with an enemy hitting the button again, but I don't remember having to hit an enemy. I thought I could just, you know, make it split on its own, but, you know, no big deal. As long as you're able to use it, and it is very effective against some of the enemies here, because some of them float just out of reach of your sword, or, you know, some other kind of thing like that. It can be very irritating. But anyway, just kicking some butt. I have on my other upload, I put up 2 videos a week. One is on Harvest Moon. Check that video out. That's another awesome game but that's on Game Boy Advance. And I'm doing a series on that, so check that out. But on this one, I would like to say I have taken a hiatus. It's been about a month since I've started recording again. I just had one video put up yesterday, and then I had this one up today. And the reason I had to take a hiatus is because I just had hip replacement surgery. And yeah, like, you know, just like how you hear about old people that get the fake hip or whatever, yeah, that's what happened to me. And I took some time to recover. I still have like months of recovery and physical therapy to go, but I'm in good health, I'm in good shape, and, you know, I'm grateful to God for the new hip, because my old hip, my leg was kind of like a peg leg. It wouldn't move, and it was real stiff, and I was having a lot of problems out of it, so I definitely needed, you know, the surgery done, and I'm grateful to God that I got up off the table, because there's no guarantee that you'll get off that table. You know, once they put you under, something can happen, something can go wrong, but I mean, even the most skilled surgeon, I mean, there's still a chance of death whenever they perform a major surgery. So I'm still alive, and I'm recording videos. I'm killing spiders and getting spit on by spiders, and I'm grateful to God, and, you know, that's all there is to that. So anyway, let's switch back up to Will. We're going to switch to Will now. And the reason if I could, I would do the whole dungeon as Freedan, because, you know, the power, you know, he's more powerful. His sword has a longer reach. I don't think there's any enemy that his sword can't reach, but as you'll see later on in this video, there's a 1 or 2 little golden skull guys that they're just out of reach of Will's staff, and Will doesn't have any projectile ability. He can do the running jump, the flying jump, and the psycho dash move, but those have a short range. They're like basically melee range attacks, so he just can't reach them. Anyway, if you go down here, there's a red jewel. Make sure you hit this area up. If you don't do nothing else, collect the red jewels. But yeah, I would go through his Freedan, but there's just section of the map where you have to have Will's Psycho Dash. Well, not Psycho Dash. You know, the one where he spins and jumps, and he can jump the gaps. The ones you learned in the Great Wall of China. There's parts like that where you need his ability. So I switched to Will, just so it's like when you come upon one of those things, it prevents the having to backtrack to a dark space to get back from Freedan to Will. And then, you turn back into Freedan, and then battle some more, and then realize you gotta turn back into Will. Which is a mistake I made when I first played this as a kid, because you don't know any better. And obviously you're gonna try to pick the strongest guy, to make it easier on yourself. But now as an adult, I realize no, switch to Will, and try to use Will as much as possible. And he's no slouch if you know how to use him. Most of the enemy's projectiles can be blocked or dodged. And all of them have a pretty simple attack pattern. The gray skulls have the sine wave pattern. The golden skulls just basically move back and forth and attempt to shoot a projectile at you. The spiders, they spit acid and they try to physically reach you or whatever. But like I say, they're very easy to deal with. And the flute guys, the main thing for them is speed. Just get on them and start beating the crap out of them as fast as possible before they can summon so many of those flames. And if usually they manage to summon about 2 before I manage to kill them. But they have a pattern. The ones they're north, south, east, and west, and they fly off in that direction, but they curve like counterclockwise as to where they are. So if there's 2 fires, or the flute guys summon 2 flames on the south and the west, just stay north, of those, and you'll dodge both of them automatically. So there is a way to dodge their patterns over there. Like I say, the enemies aren't difficult. It's just the repetitious nature of the layout. All the rooms look the same. Some of the paths just seem unnecessarily convoluted. Like, why couldn't I just go this way? Like, you have to take a kind of a long way just to get to the same area when, it's just a design, not design flaw. They just designed it like that on purpose, but, it's just really tedious. So that's the downfall to this dungeon. But anyway, one thing to counter that, because, nobody wants to see a lot of backtracking and, being lost on a playthrough. So I did play I played this a little bit before I started recording, so I could just get my bearings, have an idea of where to go and what to do next. So, I wouldn't be running around looking silly when I bring the video to you guys, because I always try to do my best to bring y'all the most action. Have like a clear plan and a clear course of action of what to do. So if you play this game yourself, you can have an example of what to do next. And when you go to my videos, you can say, okay, well, let's do, there's no like kind of screwing around, it gets kind of right to the point, while at the same time having a fun attitude and actually enjoying the game, because I do enjoy playing Illusion of Gaia. This game is, 25 years old now? It came out, it was one of the first games on Super Nintendo, and now it's 2015, and there's all these deluxe graphics games and stuff like that. Folks are complaining they want 60 frames per second, video, they want HD video, but they just get to the point where you just like, hey, I just rather cut on a Super Nintendo. Because one thing I don't like about modern games and modern systems is updates. It's like, what happened to just cutting on the power and playing the game? It's like now you cut it on, it was like, oh, such and such has to update, Xbox has to update, PlayStation has to update. And one thing for PC gamers credit, this is another reason why I like PC gaming more than console gaming, is that there's not so much update. Steam will have to update, but that's like one update, and then, but once you have that done, most of the games I have in my library, once I click on it, it boots up and I start playing. There's a couple of MMOs that, they have they have updates from the company or whatever, but it's an MMO, it's an online game, so that's understood. They have to update, they have to keep security updated, to prevent piracy, hackers, that type of stuff. So I can understand, an MMO, but if it's a single player game, why do I have to wait for updates? Why do I have to spend 5 minutes waiting for something to load up? It's worse than the old consoles. Super Nintendo, you cut the power, you put the game in, you cut the power on, boom, you're ready to go. There's no loading, there's no updates, there's no sign up for this account. You know, make sure you sign into your EA account or your Square Enix account, your Ubisoft account. Make sure you sign into your Steam account. You know, there's none of that stuff. You know, you're just able to just play the game, you know. And I think that we would do well to try to get back to that. I mean, if it's a single player game, cut out the updates. I mean, seriously. I mean, does it really need that? Is that honestly necessary? I don't think so. So anyway, here we go. This is the first major find. We need to do mushroom drops. The mushroom drops are useful for repairing the broken vines you find in the map. You know, allowing you access to new areas. It kind of sucks that one treasure chest only yields one drop. I wish it like you just have like a jar of mushroom, because it says mushroom drops when you collect the treasure. It doesn't say mushroom drop. You know, it says mushroom drops plural. So, but when you go to use it, it is just one single drop. Each treasure chest only contains one drop. And as you can see, we're going to use it here. Demonstrate what happens when you use the mushroom drop. And boom, see, those vines heal up and connect and allows you to progress further. But you know, that's also one part of the dungeon, and you know, that adds to the tedium. You have to keep collecting drops to keep going forward. Why couldn't there just be a treasure chest that had a jar full of drops? And here's the first enemy we get to that Will can't reach. And if you notice the guy on the bottom, he's tucked in that little corner. I can't reach him with my staff from above, and he doesn't get close enough to the sides for me to reach him on the side either. So I just you know, bypass him for now and beat the crap out of the other guys. The first thing you want to do is clear the rooms, because you can lose a lot of health, and I do later on in this video, because you start to get impatient. It's like as you progress further, the rooms have more and more enemies, to the point where you click on a room, there's like 40 enemies in that one section, you know, and each one has to be battled and, you know, independently. Every now and then you can get lucky and, you know, one shot them or something if you have Freedan, and they're all like kind of clustered together. But most of them is like one here, one there, and you have the skulls which fly off screen, the gray skulls. So that's another thing. You can be in an area and not see anything and think, okay, well, there's no enemies here. Then you move on, kill some more enemies, and you still don't get the advanced power up, you know, either your hit points up, your defense, or your attack, or whatever. You don't level up, so you're like, well, that means there has to be some enemies left. You check your map, and you were in that area, but just the fact that the guy just happened to be off screen at that time, you didn't see him. So, you know, there's some backtracking required. Then you have to go back and make sure that guy appears and beat his butt. So it can be very time consuming, very tedious, but, you know, never a hard time, you know, a bad time. And another thing I'll say, what I like about older retro games more than newer games is the absence of quick time events. And I've been playing Tomb Raider recently, you know, the remake where they kind of made it look more realistic. I think it came out in 2005, I'm not sure. Maybe, or 2000, I forgot when the game came out. But anyway, I'm playing it now because I bought it on a Steam summer sale. And one thing about it is I love the game, I love the graphics, I love the direction they took Lara. You feel like an adventure, you feel like there's an actual story going on. It makes more sense just in general. And I like that. I'm liking everything about it except the quick time events, because when I fight a boss, I want to actually fight the boss. I want to dodge, I want to shoot, I want to, you know, get hit, you know, dodge the, you know, hit, I mean, you know, jump out the way, do all types of moves. I want to actually fight. I don't want to just, press E and F real quick, or, you know, press, you know, A and D real quick. You know, I mean, it takes the fun, it takes the teeth out of the battle, because all you have to do is memorize the pattern, what button to push and when. And then once you learn that pattern, it's easy. You just beat, you know, you just type the right buttons and you beat the boss. I mean, if you're, you know, obviously if you're playing with a controller, you would press the appropriate controller buttons. But me, I'm using keyboard and mouse because I really enjoy the keyboard and mouse combination. Ever since I switched to PC gaming, I've been a keyboard and mouse like fanatic. But anyway, quick time events, they take the, I understand they want to use it for dramatic effect. They want to draw you into the game, I guess. You make you feel like you're more a part of it. But I feel more a part of it when I'm dodging, weaving, shooting, jumping, climbing, than when I'm just hitting a combination of buttons, a series of buttons. So, not my cup of tea. Some games make it work really well. Like, I enjoyed Resident Evil 4 on the PlayStation 2, and that had a lot of quick time events, but it made sense. It went along with the feel of what was happening. It didn't feel like an interruption or kind of like a mini game thrown in the mix of a good action game. And that's how I feel when I play Tomb Raider. It's like I'm playing a really, really good action game, but every now and then a cell phone game, a mobile platform game gets mixed in, and I have to do little quick button presses and stuff like that. So anyway, not my cup of tea. But here we're playing Illusion of Gaia. It's straight up action, real time. I mean, if you get shot, you get shot. If you kick the enemy's butt, you kick his butt. And I'm really enjoying that. I will say the most irritating enemies in this dungeon are the spiders, because they both shoot, like how this guy, most of the time they'll try to shoot a web and come to where you are, but this guy seems content just to sit on that mushroom and lay down spits of acid. And once again, as Will, I can't do anything about it because I don't have a projectile. So that's going to be an area that I'm going to have to come back to as Freedan, because you don't want to skip any enemies, because the way you level up is dependent on clearing the rooms of enemies. If you don't, you will be behind, and later on in the game, in the later dungeons, you will notice the difference if you allow yourself to fall behind and leveling up, getting more power, getting more defense, getting more attack. So there's gonna be some backtracking involved, beyond all the the backtracking that's already involved. If you get lost, or you forget where to go next. And here we have multiple enemies grouped together, which is once again, very irritating. Like I said, none of them are difficult. They all have simple patterns. It's just, the way they're set up, the amount of them, it's, could just be really irritating. 1,000 minor enemies could be worse than one boss, if you know what I mean. Because, one boss, yeah, it may take you a while, 5 or 10 minutes of game time, to beat him, you're wailing on him or whatever. But once he goes down, that's it, But if you had like 10,000 minor enemies, it becomes a grind, it becomes a chore, and then, that can be very, very big headache. And this room is actually pretty big. And I'm now switching up my attack style or whatever, because I want to get these guys out quick. And it's good to use all the old powers. Like, most of the time in this game, there's not too much of incentive to go back to an old power. Like, when you first start off, you get the Psycho Dash. You use it to blow open, like, secret passages. You use it to destroy some of the tougher enemies that take too long to kill with your regular attack. But then you get the slide kick, and then you get the spin dash or whatever, and the Psycho Dash just kind of loses its importance. So it's every now and then I like to try to bring back all the old moves, because none of them become like ineffective. It's like most of the time it's easier just to beat the guy down with your staff or your sword. Just kind of wail on him, beat him over the head or whatever. But think about it. It's an action RPG that came out during the Super Nintendo era. So there's not gonna be like super detailed, complex fighting mechanics. You know what I mean? And that's what I like about these games. It's not that they're bad. They are what they are for the time that they came out. They have 16-bit graphics. They have simplified fighting mechanics, simplified leveling up. Simplified progression. But it's still fun. And I can still say, like right now, watching this video as I narrate over it, I am definitely enjoying the graphics. I like the way the vines look. I like the details on the enemies, the way that they're, like when you see how when the skulls are turned around, you can see in the hollow of their head, their burning eyes still, underneath their skulls, and like that attention to detail, like that really impresses me. Whereas a lot of modern games, like, you know, add mist, add, you know, add this or that, you know, add these little graphical effects to hide things. You know, it seems like it's like try to get as much as possible out without it looking too terrible. But you know, you can't put as much detail into stuff in some games. Some games do an excellent job of detail, like Skyrim. I really enjoy Skyrim. I mean, the game came out in 2006. It's now 2015, but walking in the trees, walking in the woods, you know, guys, you know, come out and they want to fight, or wolves or whatever. It's just good to look at. You feel like you're there. You feel like you're actually traveling. And any game that makes me feel like I'm actually in a certain zone or in a certain area, I enjoy it. Whether it's 16-bit, you know, 32-bit, or, you know, it's beyond that. You know, it's one of the modern era games where it's like a 40 gigabyte download or whatever, or a 90 gigabyte download. You know, there's some really large games out there. But this one is like, what, a couple of megabytes tops, if that much. The whole game file or whatever, but it plays like a dream, and there's no loading, and the controls are solid. I mean, and that's one complaint I have about Neverwinter. Lately they've changed it to where you can't just press the button to do an action. You kind of have to hold it down for like a second or two, and to me that just slows down the action. It's like, why can't I need to move quick. I need to go boom, 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 boom. You know, I don't want to have to let my fingers linger, you know, just to appease this thing. As you can see, I'm lost here, kind of going in the same places twice, because it's hard to tell which, you know, you can't see the end of the jump, so you had to kind of try a vine at random and hope that it takes you where, well, not so much as random, but you're not sure if you've been here before, so you have to try to, you know, find another way. But I don't get stuck for too long, because there's only so many vines to take. And there's another skull guy that's out of reach of Will's staff, and I try to psycho dash him, but you know, that's not gonna be effective. And where I need to go is down there. See, I realized that, but to physically get there, you know, you have to not take the wrong jump. Because see, that jump doesn't lead anywhere, so I need to go further down. Yeah, this is the right path. You need to go further down, further over. Now this is the jump I need right here. And here we go. So anyway, we're heading towards the end of the video. Thank y'all for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Harvest Moon videos. That's a new series I'm going to start up. Basically, for a little while, it's going to be Illusion of Gaia and Harvest Moon. That's going to be uploaded to my channel. That's what, you know, two games I currently are into and I want to play. Which doesn't mean I forgot about. There's still some content left in The Escapist. You know, there's 2 DLC dungeons that I got because I bought it early access. So it's not like I forgot about every other game, but right now these are going to be my focuses. And both of them are 16-bit. The Game Boy Advance was 16-bit, and Super Nintendo was 16-bit. So anyway, we get the Aura Barrier Power, which is very awesome. And you can, it's not necessary to have it to beat the game, but it's definitely fun to have. So anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank y'all for watching, and y'all have a good day.